Hi there, I'm Timothy Linsdau. I'm a video producer, I'm a Christian, and I'm paying attention to civics today. I've been on the border for 38 years now. One of the busiest borders in the world. And one of the articles today is, do the alarming asylum seekers need attorneys? Now, the asylum seekers have come here en masse in caravans in recent months. And the article I found here in the LA Times talks about attorneys struggle to help asylum seekers in Tijuana. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit from this article and see where that leads us. Now, they're talking about asylum seekers who have sought asylum. You know, they come up and claim asylum. They're processed through the customs system, through ICE immigration system. Now, there are those who return to Tijuana, which is making its own burden Tijuana. That's another story I've gone through before. Weeks after U.S. officials begin sending people back, attorneys are still trying to figure out if they're even allowed to function in Tijuana. In other words, these are American attorneys that are trying to figure out how to help them through these different groups that provide attorneys with little or no charge to these asylees. So there are scores of people and children involved that are returned. So according to Mexican officials. So they end up in some kind of shelters or something down there waiting for their turn to come to the immigration courts to plead their case, see if their asylum is legitimate. That's what's being done. They need to be seen to prepare. In other words, the attorney needs to be able to see these people to prepare any kind of information for these people. So they need time. They need to know if they can do this in Tijuana. And then if they can their organizations afford to send them down there for at least a day to figure out what their situation is, to offer them any idea whether claiming asylum is probably going to be of any success to them. One of the things I've learned from customs agents is that asylum has to do with governments. In other words, running from a government's oppression, not from gangs or your bad boyfriend. Has to be a little bit better than that. There are cross-border organizations trying to help the most vulnerable, which are unaccompanied children. The splitting up of children thing is no different than it's ever been. Nobody that goes to jail goes with their kids. I don't know where that crazy idea came. Under the usual media circus, probably. So anyway. They're trying to help people who've returned to Tijuana. The logistical hurdles, that's what they're trying to do, is help these people over the logistical hurdles to get the job done. Of course, the people in Tijuana are struggling with insurmountable challenges, trying to deal with this whole mess. So, in the first place, they shouldn't have come. Second and third place. But they're going to keep trying because this is nirvana. This is the promised land if they can get here. I understand that. But getting here in a right and legal way, like so many in previous generations have, and 1 million people a year do. So on that goes. Attorneys are allowed, they're still trying to figure out if attorneys are allowed in Mexico. I find that kind of an odd statement. If attorneys, American attorneys, are allowed to function in Mexico, if after decades of time they don't know that, that sounds a little weak to me. I don't know where that's coming from. They struggle, you know, with sending anybody over there financially. They don't even know if they could provide them with workman's compensation or anything. Now, why don't they know that? I have a hard time accepting that issue. Returnees are given information by the government that in other words, organizations or attorneys that will work pro bono for them. They do give them something, some kind of information. But it can't be of any expense to the U.S. government. So it's got to be under these organizations and the individual themselves. Aliens subject to the migration protection protocols will be afforded a list of these legal services, and that's when they're under this asylum system, if you will. One of the organizations, the Jewish Family Service pro bono group, have been determined to figure out staff across the border. Apparently they haven't done this before. That seems odd, but maybe it's because what's different is they're going back across the border, but I kind of doubt that. So they're trying to figure out their concerns. But even when they get these things set up, they can only do about 5 cases at a time. And you're talking, what? Thousands of people have been coming up in these caravans. These activist organizations fire people up thinking they're going to overwhelm the United States and come storming in here. Guess what? That didn't happen. Nor were they going to let it happen. Strain on resources in Mexico, of course. Strain on these organizations trying to figure it out. Now, why having an attorney matters? Okay, so they got some statistics. They're saying 82% of the people that go into the asylum court didn't have attorneys and were deported. Now, we're getting closer to my answer about, do the alarming asylum seekers need an attorney? Well, according to this, 82% were sent back, but only 31% who had attorneys were sent back. Well, okay, that's saying that it's better somehow. Among those held in immigration detention centers seem to get better care. That's probably because they're closer to it. They're in constant contact with the customs officials. So if you could get into the detention center, you're probably better off. Might not seem that way, but you're in close contact. Because you might not even have a phone or any access in Mexico to even call anybody or talk to anybody. In fact, the lawyers here are saying that sometimes they have these lists of people, and even if they're not practicing in Tijuana and they go down and try to find these people, Tijuana is, millions of people. You can imagine what that's like. So it's very difficult. One group, the Otrolado, is trying to provide at least some support to the asylum. They have no plan to represent these people right now. Catholic Legal Immigration Network is trying to work down there in supporting them. They try to support volunteer attorneys. One of the things they do is that the Port Authority, these people will come out of the Port Authority, and there are lawyers standing around apparently that say, we provide services, free services to help you. So That's apparently where the access is. But these organizations don't seem to have good resources for this, for anything on the other side of the border. So if you can be on this side of the border, you get some help, more help. So James Rudolph of Rudolph, Baker and Associates is one of the few immigration attorneys that's set up on both sides of the border. Well, he doesn't really do asylum work. He has helped some. You know, he sets up people basically with green cards and paths to citizenship. But that's only one guy that's done this, and he did this years ago, worked his way through all the difficult economic issues of trying to do that. He even became a dual citizen to pull this off, so this guy was pretty serious. Now, where are you going to get enough lawyers to do that? I don't know. But he also partnered with a Mexican attorney to get this done. So it's not a very easy and economical thing to do. But I tell you what, I wanted to know what has changed down there. So I've had conversations with customs agents. And I said, what's changed? He said, nothing. The asylum program is still running the same as it has for years. Interestingly enough, you cannot go into the asylum court with an attorney. That caught me off guard. You can visit outside the chambers, wherever, all you want. You can give you all the information they can possibly give you. But you cannot go as a lawyer, as an attorney, into the court with them. You will be escorted out of there. So, I put a little different light on the subject. It's not like a regular court. So, if you're going to get an attorney to do that, you're probably not going to get one in Mexico very easily. If you're fortunate enough to be on this side and you meet somebody outside those gates and they can guide you, maybe they can help you get this job done. And that's how this thing goes. So, the alarming asylum seekers, I guess, need attorneys, but it's not going to be so easy. So, hi, I'm Timothy Linsdau. Like and comment on my video. Subscribe to my channel. And we're here watching the action on the border. Thank you.